I know it's odd because, like, what is an 18-year-old 3C really going to, like, if this was baseball? I know there's ways of recording it in hockey, but I'm not all that familiar with them. Like, in terms of WAR, wins against replacement.
Gotcha.
What does an 18-year-old 3C really bring you in terms of, like, your record, you know? But probably this is kind of, we've said, like, if they were the Colorado Avalanche, it's like, we need a 3C. Is this kid ready? He's ready enough. Yeah,
he's ready enough.
Makes a ton of sense. We're up against the cap. Why not have this kid on an ELC? He's ready enough.
Right.
The Flyers, by their own admission, are not close to contending. They say it all the time. Now, they also say stuff like, oh, Matvei Michkov, we have low expectations. And it's like, yeah, well, he's at 2 points a game in the preseason.
Maybe we should raise him.
Maybe we should raise him. They do say stuff to, like, that might not be true, they say in public.
Right.
But what is he real like? Yes, he's a shiny new toy, and he's going to be fun to watch because he's super fast. He's going to do some things that we're like, oh, wow. But he's also going to, like, is this kind of a win now move? It's a little weird in that regard, right?
It's interesting. I think I don't want to come out and say it definitely is, because I want to see what they do with him. Now, if they give him 5 games and send him back, then I can say, and again, we're talking about development where none of us really know. They could very easily position that as, no, we think that his development actually will benefit from getting a taste, but we never had any intention of keeping him up. If that's the case, then no, I don't think this is a win now move at all. Then it's just like, okay, they just think this is the best way to develop him. That said, if this move, to me, like, one of the reasons to get excited about this, if you're a fan, is the idea that this might be a win now move. The idea that, okay, well, we know we can't go out and sign free agents yet because the cap situation's a mess. You didn't make any trades this past offseason, but you drafted a guy and threw him in the lineup because you think you can help the team now. That's not a move a rebuilding team, generally speaking, makes. It's the move a team, like, thinking back to 2011 when the Flyers put Sean Couturier in their lineup, even though he was going to play a bottom 6 role. And the thought process was, well, he looks ready, he's super mature, and we're trying to get to the playoffs and win a bunch of rounds and maybe even win the cup if everything breaks right. And we think this guy can help us do it.
And we just traded our top 2 centers.
Right. The decision to put Luchanko on this roster, it does smell of a win now move, and that I can understand. If you are someone, okay, if you are a fan where you don't really care about the minutia of a rebuild and, you know, timelines and all this stuff, and all you really care about is like, well, I want them to make the playoffs and I want to watch good hockey, then I totally understand why this is very exciting, because the Flyers just put a guy on the roster who was taken in the first round, and hey, he could be a boat. You know, he's got upside. We know he's got upside. They're taking a swing at this. That's exciting. Now, it doesn't really line up with what they're saying about them rebuilding, but it is exciting because this is a team that just barely missed out on the playoffs. And maybe you think to yourself, well, maybe Jett Luchanko can be that, like, 1 to 2 points that pushes us over the edge.
I believe they think they're rebuilding. I don't think when they say we're rebuilding and we're a few years away still, that they think they're saying something untrue. Mm-hmm. But how many times in the last year have we been like, does that really make sense for a rebuilding team? Like the Konechny contract, the Sealer contract. Yeah. Honestly, Fedotov at this point.
To a degree.
Like, now Jett Luchanko, like, they are doing this their way very much, and they don't care what it looks like. Maybe it all works out. It very well could. I am excited to see what Luchanko can do, and that is with the understanding I don't think he's going to have a 3-point night on October 11th. Like, that will be very shocking to me.
I just think that if you take Tortorella at face value, and I really think this is true, I don't think this is lying, when Tortorella was like, yeah, the fact that we don't have great center depth does play into it. If you were truly a rebuilding team that was only focused on the future, that wouldn't matter.
You would say, who cares?
That wouldn't even matter a little bit.
Yeah.
All that would matter is this best for his development? It wouldn't matter that you don't think Sean Couturier is that good and you're not sold on Morgan Frost and Ryan Poehling and Scott Lawton are just bottom 6 centers. It wouldn't even be part of the consideration. The fact that John Tortorella straight up said it is part of the consideration tells me that part of the consideration is winning games now. And part of the consideration of putting Jett Luchanko on this roster is that it torts wonders if they could be a better team now with Luchanko on the team because their center depth is not very good and he doesn't like it. And again, if you're someone who just really wants the Flyers to make the playoffs, that's worth getting excited about, because maybe the Flyers now are moving in a direction where, in a situation where a Sean Walker situation, they're not going to trade him for a first-round pick when they're in a playoff spot because they really want to make the playoffs. I think this move is intriguing enough to at least raise the question of, commitment to a rebuild, because this doesn't strike me, based on what seems like the justification for it, at least part of it, that the center depth on the NHL team is not that good. If you were truly rebuilding, that wouldn't matter. And it clearly does. So it is important to someone. That someone, I suspect, is John Tortorella. It is important to someone to win games this year.
We all silly like the mayor.